We need to talk. What's up, everybody? Quack, 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 quack. Quack. All right, here's the truth. I probably need some accountability. Let me just say this. I just was looking at my December reading list and then my January reading list, and I'm looking at, of course, my February, and then I'm looking at what I read. And the truth, none of the books I'm supposed to be reading, I'm not reading. Wait a minute. None of the books I'm supposed to be reading. The books I'm supposed to be reading, I'm not reading. What is the deal? I mean, I said recently, the surest way for me not to read your book is when I put it on the TBR pile. I mean, all of a sudden, it's just like, squirrel. And then I go after something else. So all the books I read for December, none of them, I mean, maybe two of them were on my list. And then it's even worse in January. None of the books in January I said I was going to read, none. I did not read a single book on my January TBR. And now my rule was I have to take whatever I didn't read and put it on the next month. I mean, I'm already out of control. It's already 2 minutes. You're like, Chris, just show me the books. All right, I'm gonna. Gosh, just dismount. Just for the record, the two books I said I was going to read in December that I did read were Thrice by Andrew D. Meredith, which was phenomenal, and I loved it. And then City of Blood by Daniel Barnett. And I loved it. In fact, it was insane good. It was insane good. It was so good. And my intention is I have both of these guys on the list, and the positive is that even though my reality is that when I say it's going on the TBR list, it never seems to get read. I'm already in the zone with these guys, so I mean I'm all in. It's gonna happen. I feel good about it. So January came around, and I had this ridiculous let's do this, and I had 11 to 14 books on this list. I'll show you them. Because partly I just wanted to show you them. All right, so for January, I was supposed to read Eye of the World. Did not. The Forever King by Ben Galley. Didn't. I was supposed to read... It's embarrassing. Ben Galley's Blackstone Heart. I was supposed to read Master Assassins by Robert V.S. Reddick. I was supposed to read Kill the Farm Boy, which, by the way, was kind of a leftover from December. Still haven't. I was going to read John Palladino's Trials of Ashmount. Didn't read that yet. I had 3 books by Walter Tevis I was playing with, just seeing. Maybe I'll try this. The Steps of the Sun, Mockingbird, and then The Man Who Fell to Earth. Did not read these. In fact, actually, after I put them on my shelf, I kind of forgot about them. Didn't really forget about them, but they were not near me. Golden Sun by Pierce Brown. There were 2 others, okay? Did not read Gardens of the Moon, although I started immersive reading that and then just kind of stopped. And then of Blood and Fire by Ryan Cahill. Did not read that in January. But here's the good news. I'm 70, 80 pages away from being done with this. This 100% will be read in my February wrap-up. What I did read, though, what I read in January were 6 books that weren't even on a list. None of those books. So none of the books I said I was going to read, except for maybe Of Blood and Fire, because technically I probably could have finished this the 31st, but I finished a different book. So I mean, 1 out of 11 to 15 books I actually finished that I said I was going to finish. That's how horrible I am at this. So December, a bust. I only read 2 out of the list of that. 1 out of 11 to 15 in January, and now I have my February to be read list. But I still have to read the rest of the books that I put for December or January. December's a bust. Forget December. Because it was the New Year's resolution. I'm going to try to read all the books I said. So what did I read in January? Like, Chris, I don't know. I've lost the will to care. I get it. Okay. But this is just for me. You can see, I mean, it's a crazy train. February's coming up. But January, what did I read? Here's what I read. And by the way, I literally put all the books on top of the books I need to show you. Crushing it. Zubab. Scattity dat. Blah. Okay, here's the first book, Beyond the Wand by Tom Felton. You might know him as Draco Malfoy from the Harry Potter series. So he came out with his autobiography, and honestly, it was fantastic. I loved it. It's him telling it on the Audible, and it was so good. I mean, if you're a Harry Potter fan at all, or were a Harry Potter fan, he gives you all the stuff that you're looking for. So, I think it's phenomenal. Not only was the Audible fantastic, but, you know, it was put together in a really cool way. So you saw his kind of cinematic history, and you saw his kind of family dynamics, his upbringing. He was vulnerable. He shared stories that, if you're a Harry Potter fan, you want to know. Like, what was his relationship with, you know, Hermione and Harry and Snape, and it was so cool, and especially knowing that a number of the actors have passed away. Just his personal reflection, it was so good. And then at the end, I mean, he kind of does this wrap up where he just talks about kind of some stuff that he struggled with and some of the broken moments in his life, and it was very vulnerable, and I thought it was so well done. So I was really pumped about that. So that's one book, was Beyond the Wand by Tom Felton. Highly recommend if you're interested in that world at all. I think you would love it. The second, All Systems Red by Martha Wells. That's the first Murderbot series, and in the series, I loved it. It wasn't on my TBR. It wasn't even really on my radar. I thought, I'm not sure if I get it. I was pleasantly surprised, and while maybe I kind of probably understood and felt like I knew where we were going at some point, I still enjoyed it enough that I think I'm going after some more of those books in that series. The next author that I want to talk about is Mark Timoney and his book Starbinder. This is kind of a small little novella that really brought me into the world of kind of what he's created, and I really enjoyed this a lot. It had some very interesting kind of moments, and just some family dynamics that were a little bit like crazy. You got to be kidding me! Oh my gosh! There's some concerns, and there's some excitement, and just a little bit of mystery and wonder, and it's got me asking a whole bunch of questions like, what's next? What's happening? And I think this is such a great introduction to the world, because his monster book by it's called The Blood of the Spear, and Mark Timoney basically, is crushing it, cranking it out. And I love the cover of this. It's pretty cool. So anyway, so if you've not checked out those books, I think I won these from Chris over at the Fictional Escapist, and I'm still pretty geeked about it because I never win anything. Those are great, and we'll see if I can get to The Eye of the Eternity, Volume 1 here with The Blood of the Spear. So my appetite is whetted. The next book that I got a copy from the author on, and in my honest review, I posted it up on Goodreads anyways, but was Gurzel by I Anonymous, and this was not on my to be read pile, but I got the copy of the book, and I thought, all right, it took time to send it to me, let me check it out, and I listened to the Audible, and I did some of the actual physical reading here. Brutal honesty, I'm not 100% sure I enjoyed the audible narration as much as I would have enjoyed just reading the book. And that's probably me. That's a me thing, because I actually think that the audible narration was done very well. It just was, like, some of the tones and the tenors and how he presents and reads the story is not probably how I would have processed it as I read. And I think that's kind of the struggle sometimes with a narration, is that it comes through like it's an interpretive voice, and it's not necessarily exactly how I would have interpreted it. But that being said, I really like this book. I gave it about a 3.75 to 4 star, and leaning heavy towards the 4. And here's the reason why I liked it. One is, Anonymous is an exceptionally bright writer. He has a vast understanding of the legend and the lore, some of the Arthurian kind of tales and progressions, the surroundings, the story, the battles, the really what's going on in the histories of the peoples. And to be honest, it was like taking a sip of a fire hydrant. It was a little bit overwhelming for me. This is not heavy character driven, which is kind of where I lean. So again, that's probably the only reason it knocked down just a little bit, is that I want more of that character story. And I kind of felt like in the beginning that's what was going to happen. I was like really intrigued and excited, but then you realize he's going to open this up to a huge perspective. And I think partly because I like to go into stories without knowing really anything of what's going on. It took me about halfway through to realize, oh, wait a minute, I know where I'm at. Oh my gosh, this is so much bigger. So there was a lot of wonder and excitement. It's very well done. I'm intrigued and excited about reading Baden Hill. And so for me, I feel like this author is going to get better and better. To me, that's a high compliment, because some authors, I kind of feel like, oh, I get what they're going to do, and that's kind of it. With Anonymous, what's kind of exciting to me is, like, I know I'm going to take a bite out of something and realize, oh, wow, the feast that's before me now is pretty amazing. So high expectations, exciting. What else can I say? I'll check out the other book soon. The third book that I read, most of this I listened to on Audible, and it was done it's written by Brian Herbert, his son, and the whole perspective is biographical from the son. So it was not Brian Herbert who did the narration, though. It was okay. I mean, the narration was okay. No complaints. When you're looking for a story about Frank Herbert, you want it all, and that's what you get. So you get the early origin story, and then you get his whole kind of creative writing story. And in so many ways, this guy, like, he's from a whole nother era. I mean, a whole nother world. He's got just squirrel all over the place, and they're traveling into Mexico, and they're going from place to place. For a while, they had a hearse that they actually drove around, and to me, my heart broke in a lot of ways just listening to Brian trying to process kind of the relationship between him and his father, because while he was highly invested in his writing career and great to be around socially, it was not a good experience growing up in that home from the child perspective. I don't think that, according to Brian, that Frank Herbert really knew how to be around kids, and so that created so much tension and frustration. So in some ways, this book is very heartbreaking. It's also exciting, and yes, you do get all the information and stuff that you're looking for when it comes to kind of Dune exploration and the series, the love story that's going on between Frank and his wife, and yada yada. I'm so in a lot of ways, big fans of Dune, big fans of or curious fans of Frank Herbert. This is gonna satisfy that.
Okay. I found this on the web for the series The Love Story that's going on between web for Frank and his wife and yada yada. I am so in a lot of ways to big.
I didn't even touch my computer, and it's recording what I'm saying. Last book that I read in January, which was a massively pleasant surprise and was gifted to me from Dallas, thank you, Dallas, was The Utterly Uninteresting and Unadventurous Tales of Fred the Vampire Accountant by Drew Hayes. I loved this book. I loved it. I mean, I want more, and thankfully there is more. And I'm going to try a whole bunch of other Drew Hayes books. This was so great. I mean, I felt like at times there was some Harry Dresden kind of vibes. I mean, it's a completely different premise and idea, but just the way that he writes kind of made me think, oh, wow, that's cool. I like that. All right. So anyway, blah, blah, blah. That's what I read for January. Okay, so what am I reading, or what am I going to read for February? Why do I even do this? Why would I do this to myself? Well, first of all, today I'm going to finish the Cahill book, and that'll be awesome. Secondly, I'm probably going to end up finishing the third book, Blood Reunion, by J.C.M. Byrne, because I'm cranking through that one as well. I mean, so there's a number of books right now, again, that I'm reading that's not on my February list. But so what I'm saying is that I'm giving you a list for February, but I can already tell you that the books I'm reading now are not even on this list. So we know, right? So let's look at the books I think I'm going to read, but realistically may not be the case. And the funny thing is that this isn't even on the list, and I'm putting it on the list right now because I've been reading this book off and on for a couple months. It obviously is not holding my attention. That being said, I do enjoy it. So once I start reading it, I'm enjoying it. So this is Empire of the Vampire, and I'm probably, I don't know, a quarter of the way through. So we'll see. I don't know. That's going to be on the list for February, so we already know that's probably not going to stay there, but whatever. Here's another book that is going to be attempted to be tackled, Malice. Now, I started this, but I'm only about 70 pages into it, and I do think I'm going to like this, especially since I've been hearing nothing but praise from everyone. So I got this on my February to be read list. I've got The First Binding. Now, everything about this book I should probably like from what I have heard, but I've also heard some people say that they were a little bit disappointed. So partly I don't really care what anybody else says. I'm going to go after this. We'll see if it holds my attention. I hope it does, because everybody on the planet is wanting to have that, King Killer Chronicle itch scratched. And I don't know. I mean, maybe that's just a little bit too formulaic and it doesn't work. But I'm interested in giving it a go. So that's on my February list. My other, and this just literally came in from AC Cobble. I appreciated the kindness in sending this, and this will be prioritized for me in February because he sent it to me. So I'm not. And also, this book looks phenomenal. Like, it feels great, and there's some really cool. Breaks in here, and just the way that it's visually put together is very appealing. So, anyway, so to me, for February, that's pretty high up on my list to be tackled. This one, which is probably not going to be read, but I have it on my list, is Foundry Side. Robert Jackson Bennett. I put this on the list originally because Petrick loves that series. So we'll see. It's there, but I don't know how realistic it is for me to go after that. Here's another one, Jade City. I'm embarrassed. I have not read this by Fonda Lee yet. And again, I probably first started hearing about this from Petrick. I know he is a massive fan. I think Mike over there has been high praise in this series. And I loved The Godfather. I love that series. So this will have everything I want. I'm sure of it. And I'm probably, again, I would say that's going to the way top. So as soon as I finish the KL book, and this is a little secret here, I don't know where this was. At one point I thought maybe it was on a list, but I'm in the zone of Empire of Silence already, and this has got me. So this will probably be read in February. But technically, it's not on the list. Okay, February. Billy Summers. I'm really interested in this. I got a Stephen King, obsession anyways, and so I'm going to read that one. I'm about 99% sure that that's getting read. On the list for February is The Grace of Kings. And I can almost say 99% I will not get to this. And I started that, and I actually liked it a lot. But it is... I'm I'm a little impatient when I'm reading it. So, and that I don't want to read it because of that alone. Obviously, I'm not going to do this, even though it's on my list, Dead House Gates, because I don't even have Gardens of the Moon finished yet, which is on my, which is on my currently reading list. Lily, because I finished the Barnett stuff, this is the last in that first series for the Nightmare Land series. I love this. This is going to be huge. But I know it's supposed to be devastating. Because of Thrice, I'm jumping into Andrew D. Meredith, Deathless Beast. And my consolation is that knowing that I've already read books by Barnett and by Meredith, I feel like I can safely say these will be tackled in February. Now, this is the shortest month, obviously. So, who knows? And then my last two books are R.F. Kuang's Babel, which, again, I'm embarrassed that I have not read this yet, but I haven't. So that'll get tackled. And then, this is a friend of mine, her book, Reluctant Killer. I'm hoping to interview Lisa Perrin soon. Lisa, like I said, she's amazing and has been a student of the craft for a long time. And this is her big deal, release. At least for me, I think this is a pretty exciting moment. Okay, so obviously I'm stressed. I mean, this video's, I know it's too long, and the reality is my TBR is too long, and it's just probably not gonna happen the way I want it to. But here's what I do know, and this is what's so awesome about being a bookaholic, is that I'm gonna end up reading all these books this month that are gonna be probably most of them will be pretty unexpected. They'll throw themselves at me, and I'll get super geeked about it, and so even though I look at my list and I think, I'm probably going to fail you, I know what I read this month is going to be fantastic. And so I will say this, I am really strongly committing to, I'm about 99% sure Cahill gets done today. And I feel like the Empire of Silence probably is going to get done this week. And then the reality is that I'll have a lot more freedom on my plate to just kind of play around with the books. Prioritized for me, though, is definitely going to be Conspiracy. I'm going to finish that Blood Reunion by Byrne for sure, because I'm already an addict for his stuff. And then after that, I'll probably lean towards Meredith, and then Fonda Lee. At the bottom of the list is definitely going to be Foundry Side and the Dandelion Dynasty, just because I don't know if I can do that yet. Because once I think I start the Dandelion Dynasty, I'm going to want to hang in there, and then Babel and Deathless Beast. So I mean, partly I'm giving myself a little bit of a pass when it comes to the Malazan, because I don't think that mentally it's the right time yet for me, but soon. So anyway, that's the long accountability video here, and at the end of the day, whatever. So I hope you like the video. I mean, you can see a lot of my neurotic tendencies here, so I apologize for that. So those of you who are interested, if you could subscribe, maybe spread the video around, that would mean a lot. And then I have a Discord thing set up. I think that's good to go now. We had a little problems recently, and we got it fixed. And then, there's an Amazon wish list. And so if you're an author, and I've really never done this before, but if you're an author and you want to send your book here, I will tell you this, that every book that comes, I definitely hope to highlight and bring some recognition and attention to. I'm a huge fan of the creative expression. Some of you already kind of know that about me, so I want to do what I can to just, sing your praises. So for everybody out there that's been sending some books, I'm pretty excited, and they move kind of a little bit more to the top of my list because I just want to try to do my best to respect, kind of that relationship. So even if I can't get to an immediate review, I want to bring it up and put it in front of the camera, and maybe somebody else immediately says, "Oh, that's exactly what I need right this minute." And so I feel like, I like this stuff. Actually, I love this stuff, and I hope you do too.